turn out to be accurate in this particular election. And the result is pretty hilarious. So let's take a listen.
Look, I debated Professor Litchman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
him
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong. And that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
you
point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make it
world
personal.
of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so quiet with
right.
your personal
yeah,
attacks.
come find out again.
Make whatever point you want.
Yeah, Professor Litchman is losing his mind with his keys, man. What's up with this guy, man? Like, so why are you, Cenk, man? Why are you bullying my guy, man? It's like, yo, just have some decorum here. Like, the guy's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong. You know what I like about Professor Litchman is the way he points his finger. Don't make fun of me. Do not do that. It's wrong to do that. You are a very bad person. I like that. Professor Litchman, let's go.
Yeah.
Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother,
personal
you got it
attacks.
wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought?
Don't call me stupid.
You know what I don't like about Professor Litchman? He's so arrogant. I don't like people like that. He's so arrogant, this guy. It's like, don't call me stupid. You are stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm very smart. I'm smarter than you. You are me and my keys, man. Me and my keys. We got the election right. I got the election right. I told you Kamala Harris was gonna win. Kamala Harris did win. I don't know, man. This guy's delusional a little bit. I think he's all delusional.
This show.
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
I'll just say it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as we all come together again.
Hey, Alan, hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierce. You're so right. We're so unified right now.
So I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't
blasphemy against you. What the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser?
So, incredible stuff there. I personally love the Alan.
So what do you guys think? That was blasphemy against Professor Litchman. What do you guys think? Like, do you think it was well deserved? What do you think? Because Professor Litchman, I'm going to show you some videos like what Professor Litchman said. He said that his keys are always correct. This was before the election. Let's watch a little bit of that.
Alan Litchman, like.
He says he's the goodest. Biden at 42% of Clinton because there is no.
I'm sorry, the earlier chart was from 538. This is from Real Clear Politics. You see Trump has an aggregate 3-point lead, and he is winning in every single poll. Important point here, guys, is that the Democratic candidate has to win by about 5 points in order to win the Electoral College. So that means that Joe Biden is in effect down 8 points, not 3 points in aggregate. Remember, he won by 4.5 points last time in the popular vote, but barely squeaked out an Electoral College victory with only 44,000 votes making the difference in 3 swing states. Finally, in terms of those aforementioned swing states, let's look at the Real Clear Politics average on those as well. Oh, look at that. Trump is winning every swing state, and some very comfortably. The fact that Nevada is now 5.2 in aggregate on Trump's side is devastating. That was trending very much towards the Democrats. Pennsylvania has been solidly blue in my opinion, for a long time. I know it's in the swing state category lately because of the changes that are happening in the Midwest. But again, a 5.3% lead there for Trump is devastating. And I'll leave it at that for now. I got one more poll for Professor Litchman in a second. But Professor Litchman, you have your 13 keys. But
correct.
Yeah, and you're going to tell us about them. But
correct.
One of the top critiques of your analysis, including by me, Professor Litchman, is it's not that your keys are crazy or off or wrong. It's that you're too wedded to them as end all, be all, and it appears that you're making a problem or a mistake is thinking that correlation equals causation. And I'll tell you more specifically why I think you're making that mistake as we go on. But I got to let you respond now.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our
critics of Joe Biden. Those critics have zero, I repeat, zero track record in predicting elections, including Cenk. In his video, he said he predicted 2 elections, 2012, which he did not document, and 2016, which he did try to document. But one of his followers pointed out to me his documentation was fundamentally misleading. I did my research. His documentation came from July 2016. And as his follower indicated, he then changed his prediction of Trump. And I found the clip. Just 3 weeks before the election, Cenk predicted that Hillary Clinton would win because she was so far ahead in critical state polls, the kinds he's citing right now. And I caught a clip of Cenk after the election in which he said Hillary Clinton should reasonably have been expected to be president-elect because the polls pointed that way. He never claimed to have predicted a Donald Trump victory, which would have been a huge feather in his cap. But beyond that, his record or prediction is even more suspect. He predicted Bernie Sanders would be the Democratic nominee in 2020 and would beat Donald Trump. He said that Joe Biden, if he was the nominee, would have no chance to beat Donald Trump. Now, let's look at some of those polls, and I'll get to my keys in a moment. Cenk is fighting the last war. He's not up to date on the polls. A whole new series of polls have come out in the last 2 days which fundamentally contradict Cenk's argument. We had a Washington Post ABC poll that just came out, and it said Biden's debate did not shift the...
Back in 2013 when everybody thought it was crazy. But we can go on and on about our records all day long. It's not at all relevant. What is relevant, though, Professor Litchman, is whether you can be honest and objective instead of trying to prove yourself right. So, for example, I looked up, hey, you said that I was getting it wrong, that no incumbent in the 30s had ever won, and you pointed out Harry Truman.
What I said.
What did you say?
I said was, if you take outside the keys and just look at history, forget the keys, since 1900, no incumbent party has ever won when there is an open seat and a contested nomination, whereas when there is a sitting president running and no contest, they've won the great majority of times.
Yeah, no, that's your key. I'm saying that if an incumbent is in the 30s, he almost always loses. But to be fair, what I was going to say is that I was saying always, but actually I looked it up so that it was more granular. I found the more granular polls throughout the entire year. And in 1968, Nixon had fallen into the 30s, but Hubert Humphrey was in the 20s. And so my point here, Professor Litchman, is that my key is if you're in the 30s, you're toast. But if I was looking at that 1968 election, I would have said, yeah, my key is that if you're in the 30s and you're an incumbent, you're definitely going to lose, except his opponent is in the 20s. So it makes a difference when you look at the context and the situation, and you don't seem to be open to looking at the context. So let me ask you some extremes to see if it jars your 13 keys loose. So what if your brother...
I doubt it.
Okay, I got you. And you're saying raw number, right? Raw number, whoever has more keys out of the 13 wins, right?
Keys, yes.
Yes, that's
6
right. Okay.
keys and you're out.
Okay, so if let's say that Biden has 7 or 8 or 9 of the keys on his side, right? Or any candidate, forget Biden. But every day he comes out and does a press conference and punches himself in the face. And people are like, whoa, what the hell's going on? The president's lost his mind. Do the keys still say that he's going to win?
Well, this is something I've never heard before, the punch in the face theory of how to predict presidential elections. The truth is, as I said, your predictions haven't worked, and there's a simple...
No, Professor Litchman, it's a question to you. Don't worry about my... You can say my prediction.
You know what? This is why I like when Cenk went after Professor Litchman. This guy's a narcissist. He's an arrogant guy. He's a narcissist. He just like Cenk is not trying to like come after you about like he's not trying to do that. He's just trying to have a conversation with you.
Predictions suck. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So just I'm giving you an extreme example. Or the candidate comes out and every day punches a new baby in the face. Are you still going? Nope. I'm sticking with the keys. 9 out of 13 keys. The keys will determine.
Of course, I'm sticking with the keys because
that's crazy.
They've been right for 40 years. You can't predict elections from this kind of off the top of your head speculation, which is why I've been wrong so many times. It doesn't work.
Okay, so I can't believe you said if a candidate punches a baby every day in the face, he's still going to win if he's got the keys. Okay,
I'm not going to respond to such an absurd...
Okay, let's make it a little...
I'm not going to respond to such an absurd... It's not absurd. It's like an extreme position. Like he's trying to test the key. the validity, the reality of the keys. You saying that like the keys cannot never fail, even if the candidate does something crazy. That's you are the one that's crazy.
A little less absurd. Everybody thinks that, not everybody, to be clear, 72% of Americans think that he's not mentally healthy enough to be, to run and to be president. And you said that was incorrect. It is correct. We can put up the poll if you like. And in that scenario, he's not that far away from Americans viewing him as Dianne Feinstein. And even today, right before you came out, breaking news, he's at the NATO summit and called Zelensky Putin. So what if he was Feinstein and they're just wheeling him around in like the late Feinstein days? And remember, they were pretending she was fine and that she could still be senator. So if Biden is in that shape, would you still say, nope, I got my keys. Keys are going to determine?
I'm not going to respond to these absurdities, but I will respond to your real data, the only data you presented, and that is that 72% thought he was not healthy or had the mental acuity or was too old to run. That does not mean that they will not vote for him. And that's the bottom line. And as we saw, the recent polls, despite all your attacks on him and all the Democrats' attacks on him and all the journalists' attacks on him, have not dented his prospects to win according to your criteria, which are the polls. And I certainly haven't changed my criteria with the keys to the White House. And by the way, Donald Trump has committed way worse gaffes than Joe Biden. He confused Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi. How could you possibly do that? He didn't know the name of his own doctor, who's been his physician for so many years. He has gone off on the most...
Professor Litchman,
last sentence. So let me finish my sentence.
Yeah.
And he's gone off on the most incoherent of rants, including, sharks and electric boats. So you got to, you say your system is based on looking at campaigns and candidates, but you only focus on Biden. You don't focus on Trump, who beyond that has said he's going to be a dictator on day one. And every dictator in the history of the world who's been a dictator on day one has been a dictator forever. So look at Trump. Don't just focus on Biden.
But Professor Litchman, we focus on Trump till the cows come home. I did 99 segments on loser Donald. I think Donald Trump, his IQ is in the single digits. I think he's a borderline lunatic. But the Republican voters have super clearly said, we love that lunatic, and you cannot move his base. And currently, that lunatic is beating your candidate. Oops. Okay, so last couple of things here, Professor Litchman. Look, I'm not trying...
Biden's not my candidate.
Well, it certainly sounds like it.
And I predicted Trump. You didn't in 2016.
Okay, brother. Okay.
Reagan in 1984.
Okay, you're the best. You're the best. Okay, so listen, brother.
Thank you.
But I'm trying to see if you have an open mind and if you're being honest with yourself, let alone the audience, because I think you're leading him in a very wrong direction right now. So when you say, hey, the last couple of polls came out, they're not so bad, you understand that it's the aggregate of the polls, because I can show you a poll where Biden is losing by 12 in Nevada. So cherry picking polls is wrong. You know that, right?
You're wrong there, of course. Polls are snapshots, and they change overnight. So you can't rely on polls taken a week.
So the very last poll is the only one that should count, you think?
The most relevant polls, if polls are relevant at all, because they change so rapidly, are the most recent polls, and they're not close. Trump underwater 25 points.
You think it's not close, Alan Lichtman? You sound like you're on a different planet. You think it's not close that Biden's going to blow out Trump?
Nationally.
You know he might resign tomorrow. Are you aware of anything that's going on? The NATO presser is going to be a disaster. He already called Zelensky Putin. He's already got 8 defections at the beginning of the show, and one came in during the middle saying he should resign the presidency. And you think that the aggregate polls don't count. That's amazing. And then you mentioned the polls of the other candidates doing worse. You understand that the other candidates don't have as much name recognition now, but on election day would have massive and overwhelming name recognition, and that the polls are skewed by the fact that that they don't have much name recognition. Now, you acknowledge that, right?
No, a lot of
that was a great point by Cenk. That's a great point by Cenk, and that's exactly what happened to Kamala Harris, guys. What happened to Kamala Harris before the next candidate, before they were put out to the world to be a candidate for president, nobody knew. A lot of people did not know Kamala Harris on that level, on the presidential level, and when Biden decided to put her out, she exploded. Her popularity went up. I guess also because people were looking at the difference of Biden. Biden was like so far off, and it's like, yo, give me something different. And people were like desperate. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
One of these candidates have enormous name recognition. Al Gore was one of them. Hillary Clinton.
Wes Moore, Andy Beshear. People don't know these. But you see, that's what I'm saying, Professor Lichtman. It doesn't seem like you're being objective. You know that Wes Moore doesn't have enough name recognition. That's why he does poorly in the poll. Don't you know that?
He's not in that poll. Of course not. I agree with that. But certainly Hillary Clinton, Al Gore.
Nobody wants Hillary Clinton to run. Nobody's arguing for Hillary Clinton.
On the other side, they have not been subjected to all of these attacks that have been relentlessly launched for a month against Joe Biden. Despite all those attacks, he's now inched ahead in the key swing states. He's even with Trump in the national polls, and he's way ahead of Trump when it comes to approval.
Ludicrous, totally ludicrous. He's at 37% in a massive collection of polls. And so we found one exception to the rule. You say I did 10 elections right. I counted. There's 18 elections since 1948. And there's only one exception to my key, my one key. But my one key of he's an incumbent in the 30s loses. I am willing to be objective and go, unless his opponent is in the 20s, right? But you seem immovable from your keys and just a raw collection of keys. And then when you say things like, hey, if you lose the incumbency key or you lose the no contest key, that it's going to swing the election. Brother, that's correlation, that's not causation. You're making it sound like it's causation. Do you understand that critique?
Of course I understand it, and it's not correct. I am not claiming that the keys are causative. I am claiming, and it's not just me, it's eminent political scientists, all the professional forecasters agree, and I've laid out all the credentials for it. The keys are predictive, not causal, and they have a 40-year track record of prediction. And indeed, Harry Truman did win when he was at 36%, and he didn't win marginally. He won by 5 points, and he brought back a Democratic Congress that the Democrats had lost in 1946. And when other candidates have been in the 30s, has nothing to do with what the opposition was. The keys to the White House has not conflicted, has predicted their defeat.
All right, lastly, first of all, just real quick
clarification.
In this case. In 1948, the polling was so bad that they changed the methodology of polling after that presidential contest, because it was 1948, okay? But last thing is this, Professor Litchman, I say he has a near zero chance of winning and that he's going to drop out imminently because even his own advisors say that he has a near 0% chance of winning. But you're saying not only is he going to stay in the race, but if things continue as they are, that he's going to win. So
I did not say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Okay, so all right, so you want to do a fake prediction? Which is Biden going to win or not? Because you're going all over TV and selling copium to Blue MAGA, and they're like, oh, I heard from legendary Professor Litchman that he should stay in the race and he's going to win. So is he going to win or isn't he? Let's get you on the record.
I never said he was going to win. What I said was I will make a final prediction after the Democratic convention in August.
That's pretty convenient.
If you check off whether it's Biden or if Biden resigns the presidency, it's Kamala Harris, a plan B. If you check off the incumbency key and the contest key, a lot would have to go wrong for the Democrats to lose.
All right,
let me finish.
Yeah.
That's a 40-year record, and polls 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, even weeks before the election are not predicted. The worst debate in history was not Joe Biden. It was Barack Obama in his first debate against Romney when only 20% thought he won. 33%.
So, okay, I got it. You're gonna.
There was a 12-point swing.
Barack Obama and Joe Biden are not the same. You don't have eyes.
Let me finish. Don't talk over me. Romney went from -8 to +4, and all the same, off the top of their head, no scientific basis, pundits were pronouncing Barack Obama dead. And that was a poll just a few weeks before the election.
I said that debate was irrelevant because Barack Obama was strong, and the context of Barack Obama was an incredibly strong candidate. The context of Biden is that he can't remember any words. He thinks he was the first black woman to serve with the first black president. He says he's the goodest president there is. He calls Zelensky, all right, bottom line, you're squirming out and saying, okay, well, you know what? Let me retract that. Maybe you pick it after the conventions. No, to be fair to you, maybe you pick it after the conventions, no problem, okay? But I'm trying to get you on the record here because you want to have it both ways. So if I'm right, Joe Biden's going to drop out before the convention because it's that disastrous. And if you're right, there's no way hold on, let me finish the sentence. So if you're right, there's no way he would drop out because he's about to win. So if he drops out before the convention, will you say, Cenk was right, I was wrong?
No. First of all, you predicted he'd drop out a week ago. And my analysis has nothing to do with whether he will drop out or not. That's up to him, and he could be pressured by Democrats who have no notion of who's electable. For years.
So, guys, this is the video between Alan Litchman and Cenk Uygur, and as you can see, Alan Litchman is being very, he's pushing back a lot. He really believes in his keys, and he's very confident. And it's funny now to look back on this and to see it that wow, this guy totally lost. Look at how Trump totally dominated Kamala. So and we can even imagine if Trump was against Biden, this would be a total disaster. Thank you guys. Thank you. Have a good day.